Hey everybody, good to see you back and welcome back to our next project. I like to bring you things that are unusual or might have some interesting features that other computers of the time didn't have, and I think we've got that here. This is a Compaq Portable III, made in 1987. It had an 8286 processor in it. This particular one is a model 2660. It also has a 20 meg hard drive and a 1.2 meg floppy drive. And the one thing that's cool about it is that it has a gas plasma screen. Now that was unusual back then and very expensive. This particular model sold for $5,000 back then. That's a heck of a lot of money, even now. But we'll take a look at it. Well, first, see this? I've noticed this on Compaq portables before that were up for sale. Apparently this is a weak point, or it is now. The outer plastic casing of the cable seems to dry out and crumble. Every time I touch it, I get pieces everywhere. But hopefully it still functions, and we'll attack that when we can. But it has a fold-down keyboard, a 10-inch screen. You would press these down, it would pivot out and then up like that. That's very cool. And let's turn it on and take a look at the screen. As you can see, I like to show you things that of course need a little work, and the gas plasma screen here certainly shows that. At least the screen itself appears undamaged, but apparently the connections to it probably have a problem. As you can see, I don't know if you can barely read it or not, but you can read disk or disk error just like you would on a boot up of a system of that period. So that shows the system is at least trying to boot, and I can hear it also has a 20 meg hard drive in it, and I can hear that hard drive spinning up and spinning down. I've heard that sound before. We may have to replace that drive, I don't know. And in the back it has some typical things, not very many ports, just an RGB port for an external monitor and serial and parallel ports. The one thing it does have, and it's a little unusual how they managed to do it. This is an expansion port for an expansion chassis. Yes, an expansion chassis. But what's interesting is that the expansion chassis gets its power from the unit. It would actually snap on, that's what these slots are for. It would snap on and plug into this. You take out this cover plate here, and it would plug into that slot, attach to it here, and it would be part of the computer, and it would go with it. And it allowed, I think it was 2 normal size expansion boards to go into it, so you could add features to the computer. But, well, let's take a look. I haven't had it open. Let's take a look. I have no idea what it looks like inside, and I thought I'd bring you along and see what you think. Well, I've loosened the back screw, so let's take a look, see what's inside. You don't want to lose these. It's not exactly something you'd find at your local hardware store. Well, this is something I like to see. Sticker on the back that tells you all about the switch settings on the boards. God, if only early computers had that. Get this shield off. It looks pretty interesting. There's some ROMs. It looks like a place for... What is this? I don't remember dropping a screw down in there. Well, this ain't a screw I took out. This is a Phillips. There's no Phillips screws in this thing. In the case, look, on the board. Where the hell did that come from? Well, it couldn't have been good where it was sitting between two chips right on the pins. Well, we're going to start unplugging everything so we can take this board off and see what's below. Okay, what do we got? Not bad, not bad. Ah. There went that screw that I lost, so I'm okay there. And I know that just unplugs, but I want to take a gander and make sure I don't pull the wrong thing. There we go. Like that. All right. Main board's off. Oh, great. Another battery to worry about. Just thought I'd give you a little turn around the board. This is the CGA video card. That's what this is. The floppy is down in, floppy's down in front. Behind it is the hard drive. Here's the hard drive right here. Now I heard it spinning up and spinning down, so I'm sure I'm gonna have the joy of cracking that open and seeing what's wrong. So I think this comes off. There we go. All right. It's the hard drive and the floppy. Let me see, let me see. It looks like this entire cage is on a track. Let's see if it moves. And the hard drive moves. Let me see. Ah, here we go. There we are. You know, somebody's been in here. Look over here. This is a zip tie that's tied to nothing. Who knows how long ago it was. Oh, man. I don't know how much damage is in there. Let's see if I can pull this out without any big deals. There we go. Alright. Well, first things first is to get the floppy out. Okay, finally. Alright. Let's unplug here. Oh, you are out of frame way too much, aren't you? There we go. here. And here we go. All right, get the hard drive out of the way for now. One step at a time. Thing to do is try to get a floppy going. Okay, it was at this point when I ran into or caused a little problem. I was checking the voltages to the motor drive board from the logic board on the floppy and touched the wrong thing and heard a poof. And I was afraid I did a lot of damage, but luckily on the main motherboard of the computer, something unusual was on there that I've never seen before. Just before the power cords to the floppy and just before the power cords to the hard drive was an onboard fuse. There's one for each of those power lines. I just had to replace the fuse and everything was fine. But I finally took off the motor drive board, flipped it over, and on there, on the bottom, was a couple of very small, of course, capacitors. I don't know if you can see, you probably can't. It won't focus and there may not be much on there, but on the board itself, on the motor drive board, there was some residue that looked like leaking under each one of them. So I replaced them, put it back in, and the floppy's motor started to move just fine. So back to the video. Well, even though I ran a cleaning disc on this a couple of times, I physically looked at the head and the head is still really dirty. I'm trying my best to show you, but that's filthy. So I'm going to hand clean it and then I'm going to reassemble it and see if there's any change. Okay, I got those screws out. Let me hope that it's right. I got to be careful. I do not want anything to happen to this screen because there's sure no replacement for that. Yeah, I was right. It comes unclipped. Because I can feel it. But what's good, let me show you. I can tell. Here, let me get you out of the stand. The ribbon cable is in a socket. That's very good. Both of them are. I can see the power cable down there is too. Can I focus you? Can't focus. See them? Okay, I'm going to unplug those and then I'll bring you back. Well, here's the back of the plasma screen. And I wanted to show you a few things that I glimpsed at before I turned you back on. First, not only are these Phillips, notice this is the first time that's some serious rust. All the screws have been exposed to moisture. Look at these capacitors here. Green crusties on both legs. Now I don't know if that means the capacitors are bad. They might be. Or if it's just the moisture. Sometimes moisture just collects on the legs of components that are just fine. And I've also noticed on this is the connection for the brightness. I don't know if it'll show up right there, but that's also got just a little bit of green crusties on it. I don't know what's going on here on this ribbon cable. There's something dark there. I'm going to try to unplug everything I can carefully and make sure it's all clean. Then reassemble it and test it. If that doesn't work, then we'll worry about things like the capacitors, because I'll have to take this board off to do it, and the less damage to fix something, the better. So we're going to go the logical, simple route first and clean all the connections. Now I do want to show you what I'm going to do to these connectors. I'm going to pull them out. Now this is, it's definitely not a aha moment, but it's not exactly perfectly clean either. I'm going to use a pencil eraser across there, and then in the socket itself I'm going to squirt some deoxit and then just take the connector and put it in and out a little bit to make sure it's okay. And then I'm going to do that to basically everything that plugs into this board. Okay, with the screen I have to admit to a temporary impasse. I have cleaned multiple times, everything. Off camera, I've also put a focus on, these are the driver chips for the screen. I've read online, noticed that they apparently, not only are they sensitive, but they're sensitive to dirt and rust between the pins. They have been scrubbed to within an inch of their life. You could do surgery on these chips now, and it's made zero difference. But I tell you, I think I realize why they always fail with horizontal lines, because take a look at the design. This is a plasma screen, and it has two sides that flop out. The driver chips are on circuit boards. Circuit boards are glued to the circuit plastic, same way with the top and bottom here, but notice these are the ones that control the horizontal lines, and these are glued directly to the plasma screen glass. And if anybody out there has ever had a plasma TV, you know that glass gets hot. I can imagine those got much hotter than these, because take a look, these fold over, and they literally, not only do they not touch the glass, but they have air that can go underneath them and help keep them cool. So that's probably why you never see horizontal lines, you always see vertical lines. But that doesn't help me much. So I'm going to move on to something that I know I can repair at this moment, and I'm going to do some more online searching and some thinking about this. Alright, let's take a look at this hard drive. I've taken out most of the screws, there's only two left, but before I do, I about guarantee you that this drive will not be salvageable, because it's going to have one of two things from the sound that I heard. Either the head assembly has lost a head, or the disk surface itself has been damaged. It's going to be one of those two. So let's take out the last two screws and find out which it is. I'm saying that because I've heard discs spin up and spin down, and it might have a chance of, say, the head assembly being stuck, but I hear the head assembly moving forward and back as it's trying to find the track that it wants. And I've only seen physically damaged units do that. So let's see what we got. Stuck in the back here. Okay. There we go. It's number 2. Yeah, I would say that that disk surface is damaged. Whew. That's an unusual pattern. Well, since this is obviously toast, I'm going to have to see what I can find as a replacement for this hard drive. Wow. What a weird way to go. Not going to get that one going. I downloaded the Compaq diagnostic disc that was online and made a disc of it, put it in, and it reads it just fine. So I moved to the hard drive. The hard drive, as you know, was destroyed. This is the only one I've got that might be within the parameters of what this can take. It's a 540 meg Connor. That's as big, I think that's as big as this can deal with. I'm not sure, but it's as big as I've got. And I really don't have anything smaller is the problem. It's not bigger, it's smaller. The one that was in there was 100 meg. This is 540. And I put it in, but it wouldn't recognize it from the diagnostic disc because the diagnostic disc was too old. It didn't recognize a drive this large. It was confused. So instead of even dealing with the diagnostic disc, I have a copy of MS-DOS 4. MS-DOS 4 managed to partition the drive correctly, format it, and install MS-DOS 4. since the screen is still not working, I haven't got that fixed yet, I connected a monitor to it, and all you have to do with this is hit Control Alt less than sign, and you got a screen. Look, it already booted up on the C drive. And there's the size of our hard drive, 525. And by the way, I installed already a math coprocessor chip. Since this is a 286, this is an 8287-8, and it recognizes the math coprocessor chip, so that's good. The next thing is going to be this just horrible keyboard cable before those wires short something out by accident. Okay, first thing we're going to do is get the keyboard open, of course. There are no visible screws on this one. This one's sneaky. All the screws are hidden under certain keycaps. And there it is. It's got a one-piece rubberized keypad with the carbon. And let's see. There's our keyboard. All I have to do, I'm going to have to cut these and then desolder the 4 wires here, and then this end will be ready. Alright, let's see what we can do about this keyboard cable. The solder joints are numbered, so I wrote them down. Let's cut these guys. Okay. That was easy. There we go. And then you've got a little ground right there on top. You know, that lovely grounding braid that has devastated this thing. There we go. There we go. I've got 4 wires and a ground is all I need, so cut this back. I don't need the orange. There we go. 4 wires and a ground. One thing I am going to need though is I need to strip it back some more, because it needs to go through here, and it needs to be not too much. I'd say about here. But I do it without damaging anything. That's pretty good. Not bad. I don't see any nicks on the wires. That's a shock. There. Because it needs to be long enough for the bare wire without the insulation to come through that little divot in the board right there. If it had the insulation on it, it would, even if it fit, it wouldn't bend right. Okay, I've got her in, all soldered to the board. Got a couple of new zip ties there. That helps pull out some of that coil that was in there, because it coils earlier on this thing. Okay, keyboard assembled. Cord's on. I didn't put the screw back under this plate. It's nice and tight, it doesn't need it, and I don't want to take a chance of trying to accidentally tearing up that plate if I have to get back into this keyboard again. Okay, now we take care of the easy end. There should be a plug. There we go. Alright. Yeah, we can throw this doggone thing away. Oh man. Okay. That should take care of something that really looked bad. And had to be careful to make sure those wires didn't touch something by accident while I was working on something else and not paying attention. Here we go again. Just like on the Hyperion, it's not holding a date and it's not holding a time. Boy, look at that battery. Holy cow. That's going to be a toughie. That's going to be a tough one to try to put in here. Okay, this next repair cost a few bucks, but it was the only way to do it. This battery here, it's got 2 batteries to it, and it also has circuitry down inside there, and it's all potted together, and it has 4 legs that go into 4, basically it acts like a socket, and it just plugs right in. There was no way I was going to be able to create something like that in that shape. Now I know I could have made something and hardwired it, but I wanted it to look the way it did. So they actually still make a replacement. It was not cheap. So this was a must, and it just plugs right in here. Gotta be careful. I know I got the upper ones proper. I may have to bend them. I have no idea. I think maybe this pin is a little too far inward. It's not a big deal. It's just that it let me get something to bend it. It's just that it won't fit in the socket without a little bit of adjusting. See if that helps. That's almost got it. Let me see if I can complete it. Alright, let me see if I can get this in. It's not the problem with the battery. It's the fact that I think the legs are a little thicker. Just a little. Yeah, they are. That's the whole deal. The legs are a little thicker. Now you can see that I bent this one. Got the tiniest file that I have. I'm going to see if I can run it through these holes, make them slightly bigger without creating any damage. Okay, not bad, not bad. Just a little bit of twisting. And a little bit of condensing. Bingo. Wow, that feels solid. Let's get this together and test it. So hard to see. I mean, you can see here, but there's going to be a lot of data over here that's totally invisible. Alright, F3 to exit, save changes. Let's see what it does. Ah, it loaded properly. Will it shift? It does. Now we have a screen. Okay, CMOS settings are finally correct. Time is 9:56. Hey, the time is changing properly. The date still holds properly. The real test is later in the day for the time, and checking tomorrow to see if the date changes like it's supposed to. Well, that means I can seal up the back. I think this is going to work. I'm going to put some hot melt on the battery, put the back panel on, and I'll be back in a second. So now we're left with the last problem, the screen. I have an idea for something. I know there's a ton of people out there that'll say, well, just get another one and pull the screen from it. But to me, that's almost like cheating, because for one thing, you're destroying another unit, which I don't like the idea of, and I can understand replacing like I did the battery, but I haven't, let's just say I have an idea. That's why this is labeled part 1. It won't be my next video. It'll be soon. I've got an idea and I've got to wait on some parts. So I'm sorry I'm leaving you hanging, but I've done everything I can. Everything else works. So if you'll stick with me, I'll be back soon with an idea. Whether it works or not, I'll record it and you'll be with me either in my triumph or my disaster. So thanks for sticking with me, and until next time, see ya.